If you are like me, a lot of the efforts that you put forth in your homemaking is centered around food and making sure that your family has good, nourishing meals, ample supply of food in the pantry and the fridge and the freezer. I know that as homemakers, that is something that we work diligently on, and it's something that we spend a lot of time on. The recent news about the food supply shortages and the food chain issues that we are experiencing are concerning, and in particular the baby formula shortage is very troubling. I know I was just there in that phase with our little boy, and although I did nurse him, we had to supplement. And if I had been in a position where I couldn't find his formula, I know that that would be so troubling and concerning to me. So first of all, if you find yourself in that circumstance and you are concerned about not being able to find your baby's formula, if you will comment down below the type of formula that you are looking for, I know that the other viewers will check those comments and we will reach back out to you if we can find that formula in the stores that we visit, and we will get some of that out to you. That is one of the reasons that I created this channel, is to create a community of moms to support and encourage one another, and this is the time where we can be there for one another and help one another to get through this difficult phase. I know that it's troubling, and I want to help you in any way that I can. So if you will leave that down below, the kind of formula that you are looking for, that you are needing, I will be sure to keep an eye out for it, and I know others will as well. This supply chain issue is troubling for all of us because we all use the food at the grocery store. There are so few Americans anymore who are what we would call self-reliant or independent food providers, and so we all are feeling the burden of this shortage of food. And today I want to give us some hope and some tips on creating a more sustainable food system in our families so that we are not troubled whenever the store shelves are empty. Hey, I'm Lori. Welcome back to Homemade Simple. I'm really glad you're here, and I'm thankful for your support. I know that we all spend a lot of time, energy, and money on creating good, healthy, nourishing meals for our families and making sure that our family has the food that they need. And when you go to the store and you can't find chicken, or you can't find flour or sugar or beans, it is very concerning. We are at a critical point in this country, and I think that we don't need the media to tell us that there is a food problem. We can go to the store and we can see that the shelves that used to be full are now half empty. I was at the store the other day and there was no chicken. There were a couple of packs of drumsticks, and there were 2 whole organic chickens that cost almost $20, which most people cannot afford. The war in Ukraine is also creating a lot of problems with the food systems that we have set up in this country, and we are going to continue to see problems because of the war in Ukraine, and we just need to be aware of those issues. And I think if we have foresight and if we can make a plan, there's no need for us to panic or be worried about it. What we need to do as moms who have foresight and who can think ahead is to make a plan that is workable for our family, and then work that plan, and we don't have to worry. I know that the Lord promises His people will not starve, that we will have the things that we need. So first of all, have faith that everything is going to work out and we will have what we need. It's going to be okay, even if it gets a little dicey. So we might not be able to have chocolate chip cookies every week like we like to, but we are not going to starve. We are going to be fine. And maybe a little bit of lack will do us all some good. I know sometimes I feel spoiled and unappreciative of the things that I have because I have so much. And sometimes when we get to that place, it's just good to go without some of the extras in life to remind you what's really important and what's really needed. Sometimes we misuse the word need. There might be times in my life that I need chocolate chip cookies, but I probably don't need them every week. So let's just first of all be faithful and trust that God is going to provide us with the things that we need. Second, we can, without hoarding food and without creating some kind of empty shelf crisis, we can begin to make a stockpile of the foods that we use on a regular basis. You know your family, and probably if you are like me, your family uses a lot of the same items every week. I mean, there's no need to reinvent the wheel every week. We can use a lot of the same meals and the same meal plan over and over again. Our kids are not gonna revolt. They're gonna be fine. So if we have a list of 10 or 15 staple items that we know we use on a regular basis, let's just start stocking up on those items. So when you go to the store, instead of buying one thing of sugar, why don't we buy 2? That's not going to cause a major issue with the supply at our local store if we just buy 1 extra. But if we buy 1 extra bag of sugar, if we buy 1 extra bag of flour, if we buy 1 extra package of rice or beans or salt or coffee, if we buy a little extra every week, in 2 months, we will have plenty for a 6-month supply. So just on a regular basis, let's start making a habit of getting a little bit more than we need. So it's sort of like when we go to the gas station, you don't just get a little bit to get you to the grocery store and back. You go ahead and fill up when you're there. Same principle applies at the grocery store. Without creating some kind of supply issue, we can begin to create our own surplus in our pantry that will last us throughout any hard times that might come in the future. It's just being wise to make sure that we have enough on hand to get us through when those items frankly might not be available for several weeks on end. Another thing that we can begin to think about is finding ways for us to take on the responsibility of providing our own food. So I'm sure you've heard the chickens in the background. That's a good way for you to get started. If you have 3 hens that are of laying age, you normally will get about 2 to 3 eggs a day, and that will begin a process of you creating your own food system that you are more responsible for in your own home. I have a tomato plant planted on my back porch. If you have no property whatsoever and you live in an apartment, if you have any access to a window, if you have a patio outside, you can grow your own food. Now, maybe you can't supply all of the food, neither do I, but you can begin to be more responsible for some of the food that you eat, and that way you will be less reliant on others to provide for you. A tomato plant, a pepper plant, some lettuce seeds go a long way in creating your own food system there at your home. And another thing to be aware of is finding people at your local level who are food suppliers. So we have animals here, and we have to feed them hay. And so I have a local family that we purchase our hay from. Well, this local family also grows grass-fed beef. I was actually able to see their herd of cattle the other day, and it's so interesting and so neat to be able to lay eyes on the animals that you are going to be putting in your food supply to check on their health and their wellness. I'm pretty sure that the beef that is available at the store does not look as healthy as their beef cattle do. And so I'm encouraged by that. That's on my long-term plan, is to get meat from them as well as hay. But it's important for us to find people around us, find local sources of food, so that when Walmart and Aldi and Sam's are out of food, we still have connections to people locally that we can supply the needs of our families from. And the farmers markets in your area, go and visit them and start building relationships with those people. It is very helpful and beneficial to meet the growers in your area and to know who is an option for your family's food supply. And it's just really good and neighborly to support local growers. It's hard work to grow food, to put yourself out there as a farmer or a producer of food, or even a middle person who might go to the farmer's market and bring it back to a local place. Support those people and build relationships with those people, and then you won't be concerned when your shelves are empty at your local Walmart. If we can build relationships with the older generation, we can learn so much. They have this wealth of knowledge about agricultural and food system information that has completely been lost on the people who are my age and a little older. So between 30 and 50, our generation doesn't really know a whole lot about growing food, and we're having to learn. I know there's a lot of us who are trying to learn on the fly and figure it out, and it's hard. It's difficult. It's discouraging and disappointing. But our older friends have already experienced all of the hardships, and they already know the right way to do things, and they're not going to be here forever. My daughter has befriended a gentleman not far from here, and he actually is growing a field of peas for us to learn how to grow and harvest and put up peas. So if you can find an older man or woman who is willing to sort of take you under their wing and teach you the things that they know about agriculture and about food systems and growing your own food at your home, that would be so beneficial. Also, a lot of them experienced a lack of food, maybe during the World Wars, and they had to watch their parents deal with those food crises, and I think that they probably remember a lot of that. And so if we can ask them for guidance and for advice, we will be better off, and so will they. So nurture relationships with the older generation. They will really help us in creating the food systems for our family that will give us some security and peace of mind. I know that this is not an exhaustive list. I have more notes, but I think that is plenty for now. I want to talk next week about making some of our food from scratch, and the options that we have there are endless, but just making our own loaves of bread is a very good way to start. So I hope that you'll come back next week and we can make some bread together. I thank you so much for your support, and if you liked this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope you will subscribe to the channel so that you will be notified whenever new content is added. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you next time.